So folks, apologies for the shaky cam, but it's me filming again. I'm Mr. Clean. Welcome back to Sailing Anarchy's coverage of the Cape Town stopover of the 2014-15 Volvo Ocean Race. You're staring at a pretty well-known guy in the world of the Volvo Ocean Race. He's done a couple of them, I think, and here at the ripe young age of 30, what'd you say, 6?
37.
37. Yep. He's already on his second management campaign, and now Nick Bicey running the Boatyard. Now, Nick, show us what we got here.
Well, let's take the tradesman's entrance through the back door.
It's all about the back door, isn't it?
Yeah, all the back door. And basically what we have here now, we're just getting into the final throes of getting all the boats prepared, doing our final checks, getting everything ready to set the boats off on Wednesday. What we can see around, it's pretty quiet at the moment because it's obviously lunchtime. But basically what you see around it, all the specialised workshops, we'll open them up and have a bit of a look, but we've got boat building, electronics, sail making, engineering, pretty big office which is full noise most of the time, getting 50 people around the world.
And these are all fully built up for their own purpose, yeah?
Exactly. And they've actually been built up by the suppliers themselves and the technicians to give them what they want so they can be as efficient as possible at each stopover.
So when the boats pull in, then this just is a massive hive of activity, yeah? Yeah,
so I have a crew of 15 core people, and we build this whole thing up. And out of those 15, they're pretty special. They are specialist technicians also in their given area. And then we start the maintenance period, which is generally from when the boats arrive for 1 week, and we run up to, well, here in Cape Town we had over 50 technicians on site. So for that first week, it's full noise in here. She's going flat out just to get everything done, everything serviced, and get the boats back in the water.
Let's just walk around a little bit while we're talking, Bicey. But you know, almost everything on these boats is from the boats and in your boatyard is going around the world piggybacking, right?
Yes.
So you've got 2 full sets of everything.
Everything's fully replicated.
But I also see like an air box here. Does everyone have air freight as well?
Everyone does have air freight, and that's one area that does cost a lot of money, but in that box is the items which have extremely high value. So one element of the boatyard, as well as all the servicing, is also the all the spares. We can be a little bit smart about all the spares we need. In races gone past, every team needed a spare for every item. Right. Whereas with the One Design, we can have 1, 2 or 3 spares.
And they all own a part of them, right? Like each boat owns a piece, a 1/7 share of everything.
Actually, what you see here, the teams own 1/7 of everything.
Right.
So they have full buy-in. We have what we call an advisory board, and we make decisions on the infrastructure, the staffing, the service levels, the logistics. So we work all together, and basically I work for those guys, and I represent them, and I help them as much as I can to get their boats around the world.
So does that make it sticky at all for you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've worked for a single team before. Now you're working for 7. There's got to be guys leaning on you to help them a little more than the other guys.
Oh, totally. I'm open to bribery as well. There's no doubt about that. My best man in my wedding is running one of the boats. No, I'm in the fortunate position that I've either worked with, for, or people in the advisory board have actually worked for me. So, I mean, and we're totally transparent about everything. We've got nothing to hide. Even we've just had a meeting, we've gone over all the financials, and we do that at every stopover. We update the advisory board on what's happening, and we're all in it together. You know, we want these boats to get around the world as well as anyone else.
So Bicey, I was a little bit surprised at how quickly you were sort of done with the work on the boats. After, yeah, I mean, it was an easy leg, sure, but what kind of problems are you running into? What kind of fix-its, besides obviously the big ones that we saw, the Dongfang, you know, getting there with the pad eye? What other stuff you've seen a lot of?
Most of the stuff we do is now preventative maintenance. So, and we've based all the servicing on what we saw with the Volvo 70. So we used all our experience to come up with a service plan. So it's pretty easy to work out. To service the winch system, for example, takes 4 days, and we know in Cape Town we had 5 days, so we just do the math and get that many technicians in. So we have in every area, keel system, winch system, electronics, we have a core of people that we can tap into depending on how long the stopover is, and some of those times we tap into the local industry as well.
And I feel like, I mean, having walked around here and seen who's working around these parts, it's all the guys that would have been hired by the teams anyway, right?
Yeah, essentially.
It
was pretty important to me to have common faces as part of my team, which we've done, each head of department. I also wanted to take a few risks, and I got a few what I call wildcards come in. And to tell you the truth, those guys are really stepping it up, and they are bringing something new also to this new concept.
And I guess these teams are very different in how much resources they have from one to the other, and how much time they have, and how much control they want to sort of exert over their own programs. Which teams are sort of taking up the most time, or you know, like which teams are relying on you more, and which teams are sort of working on most of the stuff themselves when possible?
I mean, there's no doubt the lower budget teams who don't have the big shore crew numbers, but now we're only talking big shore crew numbers being 6 or 7 people.
Instead of 2 or 3.
Instead of the 2 or 3, which a couple of the teams do have. But in saying that, they're extremely resourceful within themselves. Some of the teams that have bigger shore crews, they're specialists in specialist areas. But take Vestas, for example. We've got Tommy Kiff, who can do everything. Boat building, electronics, service the water maker. And he's like a human tornado going through that boat. And he'd be one that we want to get as part of our team at some stage.
So when the boats came out of the water, which one looked the best?
Vestas would be up there in Abu Dhabi from a pure finish point of view.
Just maintenance level and how many breakages and all that kind of thing.
Abu Dhabi was the best. I think they came into the race as well prepared as anyone else. I always had my money on Brunel having the most breakages, just because they are seriously strong dudes on that boat, and they're going to push it seriously hard. But now with the inclusion of Rob Greenhouse on Mapfree and having Saab with him, and being part of a team with him, he's going to push that boat past its limits. And once those guys click, they're going to be a very strong team.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm a huge Formula One fan, and I'm always drawing parallels to everything Formula One. And you know, a couple weeks ago, one of the teams went into administration, and even an industry that's throwing off billions of dollars in revenue. The big teams still are realizing that if they don't subsidize the small teams somewhat, the small teams go away. Is that a little bit of kind of what we're seeing here, where the big teams are able to take less of your time and less of your resources, leaving you open for the small teams to do more of?
Well, I've had a few missed calls from burning someone, so maybe he's cotton onto it as well. No, seriously, the teams, you still need experience as part of your team, and you still need to know how to manage your boat. Yeah. We're there to do the servicing. So to put it in parallels with a car, you know, we're happy to service the engine, resurface the brake pads, but at the same time you need to still put air in your tyres, put water in your windscreen washers. So it is about team management, and some of the teams might be here just to get to the end of the race and they don't care what the boat looks like at the end, which is fine, and they're racing, and that's how racing should be as well.
Right.
But some of the teams are here to put across they're here to represent their sponsor fully, and that may be by having a nice, very shiny boat.
If I was a sponsor, I'd want it to be shiny.
Absolutely. I want them all shiny. I think we should make it a rule.
I agree.
Yeah.
They're not going to let Bauer's not going to like that. A few people have said, and I felt it too, the camaraderie and the level of openness here is very different from previous races. I mean, I think you know pretty well how secretive it was. Guys who are best friends and have sailed together for millions of miles couldn't talk to each other.
At the end of the Volvo 70 cycle, it was getting ridiculous.
It was like the Cup. I mean,
shore crew numbers were massive, and yeah, everyone's seen it in the Cup, and that's exactly what it was. And you always hear the stories, remember what the Volvo used to be like. Remember what this is my 5th race now. Yeah. Not sure what I'm going to do when I grow up yet, but you always hear how it used to be. And then my first race, remember the Whitbread, remember that, and you're hearing all these. And one of my personal what I wanted to do is actually get a bit of that feeling back in the race. I mean, it's still just a yacht race. I mean, we're all serious and everyone wants to win or whatever they want to do, but let's have a bit of fun while doing it also.
It's nice to not have to, avoid your friends in public too. I mean, let's get real. The Cup is cool, the boats are amazing, but the feeling when you're there is just always kind of...
Who cares what colour your jacket is, Especially in here where we're very open, what we call open door policy. If the boat builders want to come in and use all the material we've got, all the facilities we've got, go for it. And one day, even just yesterday, we saw a Dongfang guy doing some repairs to one of the reaching struts next to an Abu Dhabi guy. And they're working hand in hand. And they're actually two guys who actually built the boat at Persico. So it is really cool to see. And you know, we'll have a few beers at the end of the day all together, and everyone gets their job done. And you know, this is one of the huge, big aspects that I wanted to push very hard.
Well, I'll tell you what, the attitude thing, I think maybe it doesn't matter so much for the fan back home, but for the insider and for guys like me working the event, you can really feel it, you can smell it. I think it translates to the race village too. I think there's a really open attitude in there, and so you're doing a lovely job. Man. What about in the breakage world, right? There are only two things that I could see that multiple boats had an issue. One was the pad eyes. Only one broke, but another couple moved, I think. Yep,
correct. And so that particular instance, unfortunately, it's a $250 part, which took out about 10 grand's worth of other stuff. Yeah. But we've got all that in the spares container. It didn't take long to drag all that out and get them back on track. And the theory is behind that pad eye, for example, is it's more than strong enough, and we don't know the exact circumstances why it broke. But we're continuing to monitor it. We've got, you know, deck hardware people looking into it. We have the designers looking into it.
You can actually see the video when it broke.
Oh yeah, that's very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, not at all. And anything like that, as soon as we knew about it, we sent a note out to all the teams to just have them a little bit aware, put a safety strop on there just to make sure if it was some sort of a one design thing and we had a bigger problem. But it seems as though, I mean, the boats have probably combined 150,000 miles now. So we don't think there is going to be a bigger problem, but hey, in Abu Dhabi, we may replace that particular part for something that we know is absolutely bulletproof.
A little bigger.
Go bigger. You got to go
bigger. And the other problem that we saw was the reaching struts, or the not reaching struts, the outriggers.
Yep, the outriggers.
What do you think? Just user error or what?
I wouldn't say user error, but they were designed with a guideline in the sense that if they're used below a particular angle, they are going to break. Unfortunately, fortunately actually, the reaching strut is the fuse, and that's going to break as opposed to the deck fitting. And they do make the boats, the performance they add is significant.
Yeah, and it's a big difference in this boat that I think that people are really starting to learn that it's going to make a huge difference to the downward speeds. You know?
I mean, we always compare it to the Volvo 70, these boats, because we've been around Volvo 70s, and it's true they're not as fast, but little inclusions like this, like the reaching strut, is pretty cheap to make the boat go a lot faster.
Yeah. All right. What's the stopover you're most interested or most excited about and most worried about?
Auckland's going to be tight, but it's going to be a bloody cool stopover.
Time-wise or space-wise?
Time-wise, but we have such huge resources there with people, so we're going to throw more people at it. We'll over-capacitate for sure, and we don't want to see...
a lot of out-of-work boat builders down there.
Absolutely. And we don't want to see the situation we had last race, putting the boats into the Southern Ocean when the shore crews have only had a couple of days to work on them.
Yeah.
And also the sailing fans down there. It's going to be epic to get these cool boats down there so they can check them out.
Yeah. And so is that the one you're most excited about as well?
Well, I'm always excited to come to Cape Town, actually. It's a pity it's kind of the first stop, because it's one that you would like to keep towards the end of the race, because it's such a beautiful place. There's huge fans here also, and I mean, the 05 race here, import race, I did it on ABN2, for sure the most epic inshore race I've ever been involved with.
Yeah, I remember.
It wasn't far off here on Saturday.
It was kind of far off. I remember it was 38 to 42 gusts that day.
We were coming up the last work with 50 knots in 05, and that was cool. But, you know, the boats
with the angry little bear.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I miss him here. I wish he was working in this yard with you.
Oh, absolutely.
You need some American blood in here, mate.
Would give him a job, no problem.
Bear, call him up. Bear, call him up. I had another question for you. I don't remember what it is now. So this leg's a weird leg coming up because, you know, they got to head off into the Southern Ocean, go down deep for a big low, and then get enough all the way out under India, and then turn left. Yeah.
Basically.
They haven't been tested yet. I mean, they've been tested in training, but these guys have not been tested yet in anger, right? I mean, because the most wind they've seen is 30 knots.
Yeah, the most they've seen in this race, whilst racing, and that's is here. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they're going to set off into 30 plus, and then they're going to get into a big low and get into the big Southern Ocean.
They're going to send it, and they're going to push the boats hard.
Where do you see the first failure points? When they're in that, when I got Vestas here and Abu Dhabi here, and we're both going 34 knots down a wave, what breaks? Something's going to break.
Oh, and I think we'd be stupid to think nothing's going to break. Yep. And they wouldn't be race boats if they didn't break anything.
Right.
What we've seen, we haven't seen one continuous failure anywhere. So I think it's going to be pretty broad what we're going to see.
Depends on the wipeout, right?
We're going to learn a lot too. And, you know, that's what we're here for. That's why we have, you know, the guys from FAR, they come to each stopover. The guys from QI Composites doing the NDT. So we're going to learn a lot coming up with this leg. Hopefully we'll learn enough to eliminate those things in future legs. But we're prepared for whatever's coming.
But you're doing NDT here in every stopover?
Every stopover. We have a team of... We start with the priority jobs. If someone hits something with the daggerboard, we go straight to the daggerboard. And then we go through a priority list, which may be slamming
sonograms,
area,
x-rays?
Full ultrasound.
Wow.
So we do all slamming areas, all the rigs, all the booms, all the daggerboards, all the foils, the rest of the foils. And then we just slowly work down the priority list. So we have a team of 3 or 4 guys that come in from Italy to do that, who work hand in hand with Chris Cochran from FAR Yacht Design. Yeah. And then we have our boat builders from the consortium as well ready to go.
Pretty well thought out, man. Pretty well thought out. Boy, you guys have planned this well. You've been at it for a while.
Well, I was sitting behind a desk for 2 years. It's good to get out from behind that and actually get into the race now, and it's good
But how about it for you? I mean, you're young, you know? You're young. You're fit. You know, you're a triathlete. You're an Ironman competitor. You're a psycho, right? Are you a little bummed out? You want to be racing?
When I see them go off the dock, for sure. Recently, just having a couple of kids, that kind of drags me back. But
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But no, I'll be back someday for sure.
Right on. Bicey, you the man. You gonna weigh these boats for us at some of these stopovers and let us know which ones are getting heavier and which ones aren't?
Well, the weighing process is a little complicated in the sense that all the boats were weighed before the branding was put on.
So
that's only so we don't penalise the guys that spend a lot of time to get a real light paint job, which makes sense. It's a little hard to understand sometimes, especially from what we came with the Volvo 70s. But
did you make them weigh all the paint and stuff as it goes on?
No. Basically, our weight and the certificate weight is pre-branding. So, but in saying that, I mean, the 7 boats were within 38 kilos of each other before corrector weights, and now they're within whatever the scale can go. I think it's on 2 kilogram increments at that, so they're close.
Well, Bicey, thanks for this 18 minutes. I really do appreciate the time, and it's good that you're not too busy.
No, it's reasonably relaxed at the minute. Very keen to see these boats out there performing, and see what happens on the next leg.
You gonna go out and watch the start?
Oh yeah, should yeah.
Be all right. We'll see you out there, man.
Cheers, man. Cheers.